Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's so good to see you. I was on a little bit earlier trying to practice. I see I have a lot of people here. And just so you know, right now, you are all muted. So you can't talk. But I can talk. And as I begin this, we will have a time where you and I will be able to talk. There's a Q&A at the bottom of your screen that you'll see that says Q&A, and you can hit that anytime you want. But what I would prefer is for you to wait until I'm through talking, and then you can ask me questions. And then if some of you want to be coached, I'll tell you how you can do that today. We have so much that I want to do in such a little time. So first of all, I'm just going to go on and see all of you, see who's here. So many of you. I'm so excited. And what I would love for you to do right now, if you could, is if you would just write in the Q&A and tell me if you can hear me and if you can see me. I would really love that. So you can type in the bottom of your screen. Lauren says, I can hear you and see you. Yes, Faith says, I can hear you and see you. Yay, good. Yay, Kathy, thank you. Okay, so now that I know that you can all hear me and see me, I want you to know that I have seen me for a few days now, every day on this screen, practicing to talk to you. So I am getting pretty sick of looking at myself. But I am so ready to share with you, and I think a lot of you have heard me on my podcast. Would you mind just putting in the Q&A like where you heard about me a little bit, so you can let me know where, so I have a little bit of an idea, like if you know my material or if you've never heard of me before, maybe just give me a little feel for what's going on. And there's a chat section that I see some of you are chatting, but don't talk in the chat section if you're talking to me. Just talk in the Q&A, because that's where I'm going to be looking for you. Oh my gosh, everybody's talking to me. The podcast, the podcast, the podcast. Oh, I searched you on the internet, Jeannie. Oh my God, Lauren, my entire podcast. Holy moly. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is what I really want to be able to teach you today. I want to teach you how to think on purpose. And I know all of you who have been listening to this podcast know that's all I talk about is how to think. But from the many sessions that I've had from my clients, I really see that this is not an easy thing to do, to be able to differentiate the difference between your own mind and the actual things that are going on around you that are true facts. And this is what I want to share with you. I hope by the time that we're through talking today, that you will be able to tell the difference between the stories that you tell yourself, which are your thoughts, and what is actually going on, what is real. And what you're going to find out is that most of the things that you tell yourself are all stories and thoughts, and those are all can change. And the actual facts in life are what they are, and I'm going to explain that to you today too. But first, for those of you who may not know me, I think a lot of you do, but for a lot of you who don't, I'm Dr. Deb Butler. And I have a podcast called Inner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. And what I love to talk about the most, and I think what encourages people so much, is that it's not so much what you do, it's so much more what you think. And that what you think determines what you do. So for a lot of you who are talking to me because of your weight and body images and how you think about food, I want you to know that if you try to change what you do without changing what you think, it's never going to work, which is what we call yo-yo dieting, is we change what we do for a little bit, and then we go back to thinking the way that we've always thought, and then we go do the things that those thoughts produce. So for me, a little bit about my background is I was a practicing chiropractor for 30 years, if you can believe that. And I had my own practice with my husband, treated many, many patients over the years, really loved it, enjoyed it. But I got to tell you, I always thought there was just something missing. And the thing about me practicing chiropractic is I could never run on time. And the reason is because I love talking to my people. So what I really get to do now is I'm not doing body work anymore. I just get to talk and I get to listen, which is really my favorite thing. And when I was in chiropractic in about my 25th year of practicing, when I was in my early 50s, this is when I realized, once I started learning how to coach, because I don't know if you heard about the story of how I learned to coach or why I got into coaching, but Oprah was on TV one night and somebody in her audience spoke about Martha Beck, and that Martha Beck did some type of retreats. And I loved Martha Beck. I loved her books. I loved the way her head. And I thought, oh, if I could just work with her. And I almost felt like Oprah just jumped out of the TV and told me to go do it, which is what happened. And I signed up for, I didn't even realize it was coaching, but it was. I signed up for coaching, went to Arizona, and spent 3 to 4 days with Martha Beck. And I just wanted to learn more about how to manage your mind, because that's what she talked about a lot. But really what she was teaching was how to become a life coach. Surprise. And that was really the beginning of this sojourn that I call, of really finding out what really lights you up and then really being able to do it. And then really finding out what's going on in your mind and learning how to correct it. And if you can do those two things, man, you're in for a ride. Now, here's the thing about menopause. The best thing about menopause is that it is an opportunity to not only retrain your mind, but your body is already going through a change. Your mind is already going through the change just by the physiology of your body. So it's such a perfect time because you have all this information that you've been living with and learning about for the last 25 years. And now you know what you want, what you don't want, what works, what doesn't work. It's an opportunity. Menopause is an opportunity to get your life right. And for me, that's exactly what happened. From the time that I decided to go see Martha Beck, I didn't decide I was going to learn to be a life coach. I just wanted to learn from Martha Beck. But that was the beginning of actually becoming a life coach. And from there, I went to the life coach school and I started teaching for Brooke Castillo, learning all of her stuff, teaching all of her stuff, coaching, which is just unbelievable for me that I get to do this. And that is what I want to show you, is how you can do whatever it is that you want to do. I don't care if it's you want to lose weight, if you want to change your job, if you want to change husbands, wives, I don't know what it is you want to do. But whatever it is, I can show you and I can tell you by teaching you this one thing. I call it the key to everything, because this is the key, your mind, and how to unlock it. And what I want to teach you today, the model, is how to do that. And I think by the time that this hour is over, you are going to know how to use that key for your own mind. Now listen, some people would love to have coaching too, but what I'm teaching you is how to self-coach, how to coach yourself. And I'm going to show you how my mind works on every single client that I work on. I'm constantly doing this own model in my mind with my clients. I'm constantly doing this same model in my mind on myself. I write every morning, and I do what I call a thought download, where I just write down all the thoughts that are in my head, get them out on paper, and look at them. And I got to tell you what, once you really start looking at your thoughts, it's an eye-opener, because we tell ourselves a lot of things that maybe aren't necessary. So this is where I want to start. I'm going to share my screen with you first, and I want to show you a few things. A lot of you don't know this, but I have a special gift for you when we're done. Well, when you get the recording. It's not even when we're done today, but I have a special workbook that I made that I used for a group when I was teaching the model, and I want to give it to you today. So I want to make sure I go over that a little bit with you, maybe at the end. I'm going to share it with you a little bit now because there's some things I want to show you in it. But I want you to be able to use that workbook with this video. So you'll get a recording of this video, you'll be able to play it back, and you'll be able to use your workbook to use while you're going through the video as I'm teaching. And I think that'll be really helpful too. So let me go ahead and let me share my screen with you first. Okay, and now you should all be able to see. Take me out of here. You should all be able to see what I have here, and I want you just to read it and realize, use your mind, don't let it use you. That's from moi. And the other quote that I really, really love is, every cell is eavesdropping on your thoughts, by Deepak Chopra. You got to know what you're thinking. I think that when you manage your mind, the physiology of your body can change because your thoughts, every cell is connected to every thought, and every cell is what creates your own health, creates everything. So I really love that. So the other thing that I want you to see here now is about this model. I call it the CTFAR model. It teaches you how to think on purpose. And I just want to read you a few of these things right here, just so you can read them. Now, this is all in the workbook. You'll be able to go and look back at it, but I just want you to see it. If your thoughts create the results that you get in your life, then it's very important to understand how you think. Yeah. We're never taught how to think. I think that once I learned this, it's like we should be teaching this stuff in grade school with kids. Our thoughts create our results, and most of us don't even know what we're thinking. This model that I'm going to teach you will make you aware of what you're thinking and aware of how your thinking affects you. It'll give you a framework to change your life by showing you how to change how you think. I'm going to skip a few of these, but it gives you back control of your mind. It gives you the results that you want, just to name a few. You think that's kind of important? I do. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you too. Hi, I want to put myself here a little bit. I want to show you what the model looks like. But before I show you what the model looks like, I want to show you what the model is and the components that make it up. So we have in our model, it's always this way and it never changes. We have a C for a circumstance. Now the C for a circumstance is always facts that can be proven in court. It's the past, it's other people's behavior, it's world events, it's the weather. It's something that can be proven in court that everybody can agree on. Now, that's the C or the circumstance. The next component you have is the T, or stands for thoughts. And thoughts are a sentence in your mind that is triggered by your circumstance. An F, or a feeling, is a vibration in your body that is caused by a thought. And feelings will cause an A, or an action, what you do or what you don't do. And an R, or a result, is the effect of your actions. You can classify any problem and insert this into the model. I don't care what your problem is. You know that I talk a lot about weight and body and food, but seriously, it doesn't matter what it is. And for all of my clients that I've been working with, we work on everything in their life because everything that goes on in their mind creates emotions, and what we do always comes from emotions. So we use the model to identify, think, reveal thinking, and change thinking. We identify feelings and change feelings. We find the cause of action or inaction, and we find the cause of all results. So here is the model. This is the way it looks, and it's the way it always looks. You put it in a column just like this. You have your C for circumstance that can trigger a T for thoughts. Your T for thoughts will cause an F, or a feeling, which is an emotion or a vibration in your body. Now that emotion or vibration in your body will cause an action or an inaction, what you do or what you don't do. And that action or inaction will always cause a result, which is an R. And just so you see this, the R, you see an arrow that goes back up to the, woo, this is not, I can't believe I'm just looking at my model and it's wrong. So let me explain this to you. So when you see your results, the arrow always goes up to your thoughts, not your circumstances, and will always create evidence for your thinking. Your results will always cause evidence for your thinking. And I'm going to show it to you over and over and over again how that works. So let me stop the share now and bring myself back to you. Hello. And now what we want to do is I want to show you on paper a little bit about how it looks and then how we can decide what we want to put into it. So let me put this down for a minute. And you can see my board. You want to think on purpose, right? Right? Okay, so let's get rid of this. And you can see my board now. Yes? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to start with a model, and I'm just going to start with a C. And a C is the circumstance. And anytime you're trying to figure something out in your mind, we always try to start with what is actually going on, what is real. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you an example for me of my podcast, because this is a true story, and this is how I coached myself with a little extra coaching from other people. I have to tell you, I get coached too, because sometimes it's hard for me to self-coach myself because I'm so much in my head. But let me show you an example of how I did this. So I had a circumstance, and the circumstance was I was creating a podcast. Okay? So in the C line, I'm just going to put create podcast. Okay. It's a fact. I'm trying to create a podcast. I can prove it in court. Everybody agrees I'm creating a podcast. Now, let me show you. Let me put my model up. I always put my T, F, A, and R. Always in a column, just like that. Anytime you're working with yourself, this is what you do. Sometimes you might want to leave a little extra space, but it's always the same. Your T, your circumstance is the fact. It triggers a T or a thought that creates a feeling, and the feeling causes an action or an inaction, and an action causes an effect or a result, and the result will always be evidence for the thinking. Always. The result will always be evidence for the thinking. Okay? So here's the podcast story, and I'm telling you the truth because this is exactly what happened. About 3 years ago, I decided that I really wanted to create a podcast. I had some really good ideas. I really thought the things that I was teaching and my clients, the life-changing things that were happening for them, were amazing, and I wanted to be able to get this out to more people. And I thought a podcast would be a really great way to do it. But here's what happened in my mind when I decided that I was going to do a podcast. And I started to write what I was going to say. I had a thought, and my thought was, I don't know what to say. Every single time I would get in front of paper, the same thought would start coming in. I don't know what to say. And I also had another thought too. I had a bunch of thoughts, but I just want you to see what happens with this thought because it kept running around in my head. Now you think, oh my God, Dr. Deb, you have so much to say. I have said so much, right? But I'll tell you, when I was in this moment, that's really what I believed is I don't know what to say. What am I going to say to these people? I'm not an expert. What do I know? This is how I'm talking to myself. Well, this thought created a feeling of being incapable. Now, you know what incapable feels like? Not good. Not capable. So when this thought, I don't know what to say, triggered this feeling of being incapable, guess what happened in the A line? I would sit in front of computer and not write anything. I'm not kidding. That's what happened for 4 weeks. I kept thinking this, and so guess what my result was? I didn't write anything, therefore, or say anything. Can you see? So my R was evidence for the thought that I don't know what to say. I thought I didn't know what to say. My action was I didn't write anything. And the reason I didn't write anything is because I felt incapable. It had nothing to do with creating a podcast. It just had to do with my mind. Now, the result is always evidence for the thought. I didn't write anything or say anything because I thought I don't know what to say. Is that clear? Can you just write in the Q&A, you guys, if you understand this part so far? This very basic thing? Yes, good. Okay, so now let me show you, and I want to tell you guys something really important about this self-coaching in the model, probably the most important thing. Changing the thought is not nearly as important as realizing that you're thinking it. The awareness of realizing that the only fact here is that I'm creating a podcast. The things I'm making up about that podcast are making me feel incapable. And that as soon as that thought changes, it's possible that I might feel capable. So once I got really clear on this, and I'm telling you, I'm really good at this, it took me a while. I really had to be coached on it because I really believed, who am I? I don't have anything to say. I really believed that. So let me show you my model that did change. Now, how do you know it changed? Because I've been doing a podcast for 3 years. That's how you know. So let me show you my new model. Where do I start? We'll start with the C. It's exactly the same. My podcast. Put my T, my thought, my feeling, my action, and my result. It's what you do every single time. And as you get better, you can fill them out in all kinds of different ways. But for now, let me just show you. This is what I said to myself. And this is what you can say to yourself when you see your unintentional model. So the first model that you saw was basically unintentional. I didn't intend to think that. It was just up there. I believed it. I ran with it. Unintentional. And I'll talk a lot about that as we keep going. But for now, here is my intentional model. I'm thinking about what I want to think and what I don't want to be thinking. Remember, this took about 3 to 4 weeks for me to get to this spot. It might not seem like rocket science, but sometimes it is. Okay, so here's what happened after a lot of coaching. I realized I have coached hundreds of women. Hundreds of women, I realized from this work that I've been teaching, have changed their lives. It's been life-changing. I must have something to say. And so this is really what I decided to say. I know I have life-changing information. And I really believed it. You know, when you come up with a new thought, you can't just make something up. You have to feel it. You have to feel the emotion changed. I felt the feeling of incapable. I felt it into motivated. It changed when I knew that I know that I have life-changing information. And the reason that I knew it is because I've seen so much. I had so much evidence for it. So once I thought I know I have life-changing information, it made me feel, oh my gosh, so many different feelings, but let's just say motivated to get it out. Once I felt motivated, guess what my A-line was? I started writing and produced for podcasts. That's what happened. What's the result? What's the effect of the A-line that I started writing and producing for podcasts? The result is 4 podcasts got out and my life-changing information got out into the universe. The result is always evidence for my thinking. My thinking that I believed is I know I have life-changing information. I knew it. The result was, now I want to tell you something really important about your R line. Your R line can never include somebody else because you can't control anybody else. I'm sorry. I know this is bad news. You can't control anybody else. The R always has to be about you. So I want to show you in my R line that if my T is I know I have life-changing information, the result was that I put 4 podcasts out and I got my life-changing information out. That was the result of thinking that I have life-changing information, and then I got it out to help people start changing their lives. But I'm not in control of people changing their lives. I was in control of getting the information out. So that's why it's in my R line. I can't put people got life-changing information because I don't really know that. I do know that now. But when I was starting, I couldn't put my R with other people in it. I had to put it with that I got out what I wanted to do. Now, you all know, those of you who are on here, you all know that it is life-changing because I hear from so many of you. But do you realize that if I would have kept my model and not been aware of what I was thinking to begin with, I never would have done it. I never would have done it. How many of you are in the same situation where you're still thinking thoughts that give you such a negative emotion that you don't do the things that you really want to do? And the reason you can't do what you want to do isn't because you can't do it. It's not the A-line that's the problem. It's because you can't think and feel it to do it. And that's where you always have to start. Okay? Is this making sense? Say yes. Somebody give me a yes. Anybody tell me, is it making sense? Not in the chat line. Hi, Stephanie. Ah, I just saw you here. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, everybody's got it. Okay, so here's what I want to offer you. I would love for somebody to ask me a question in the Q&A if they want to know something specifically. And then after that, what I want you all to be thinking about is getting on. And either, number one, I don't want you to raise your hand yet. I want you to be thinking about maybe wanting to get coached with me so that I would be able to show you what your model looks like and show everybody else. Because the best way, the reason I wanted to do this webinar is so that you could see it in action. Now, if nobody wants to say anything, I'll keep telling you, I'll give you gobs of information in terms of how this model works with my clients, because I can just show you things. but it's so much better if you're willing to do it yourself. Okay, so Vicki, okay, I've got two questions here. Vicki's asking me, how can I eat between the twos? Let me just move this up a little bit. How can I eat between the twos? And Jeannie is asking me, how do I make myself the most important thing in my day so I prioritize healthy eating? These are such great questions. So let's think about this in the model. So let's take this off. Let's start with a C, T, F, A, R. Circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. The CTFAR model never changes. All right, so Vicki wants to know, how can I eat between the twos? All right, so let's first start with the circumstance. And I still see people are writing in the chat line. If you can go over to the Q&A, that's where I'm going to answer them. But I see you're writing in the chat line, but I'm not going in there. So if you would just really do me the honors of going into Q&A, this is where I'm going to answer your questions. And then I want you all to be thinking about how you want to get the most amount of help today, and that's going to be by being coached, which means I won't bring you on video-wise. I'll just bring your voice on, and I'll coach you. No one's going to see you, and you can either be anonymous or you can tell me who you are. Either or, it doesn't matter. But right now, Vicki wants to know, how can I eat between the twos? Okay, so I'm thinking, Vicki, what you mean is, what can I think so I can eat between the twos? So the A line can be eat between the twos, because that would be the action, eating between the twos. So the circumstance can be eating. We all do it. So here's the thing. How would you like to feel about eating? And this is a really good place to start in the model all the time, is how would you like to feel? It's sometimes easier than what do you want to think. So Vicki, can you tell me how you'd like to feel about eating between the twos? I eat between the, no, sorry, that's not you. Okay, in control. It's great. Okay, let's put that in the F line. In control. Now you got to know, this is the feeling that all my clients want all of the time, and we work the model a lot putting that in the F line. So what could you think, and I'm not asking you to answer this yet, Vicki, but I want everybody to be thinking, what would they have to think that could make them feel in control? Now, here's the thing. You can't make up thoughts that don't change your feeling. So I'm assuming right now, Vicki, you feel out of control. So if you want to feel in control, maybe you want to have a thought like, I want to learn, I want to be more connected to my body. I want to learn how to be more connected to my body. How does that sound, Vicki? Can you believe that? Tell me yes or no. Yes. Okay, good. Because if she couldn't believe that, then the next thing I could put in the thought line is, I want to believe that I could be more connected to my body. But she says she believes it, so we can put it right here. I want to be more connected to my body. Okay? Circumstances eating. It is what it is. We all sit and we eat. It's a fact. You can bring it to court. She now thinks, I want to be more connected to my body. It makes her feel in control. And then in the A line, she eats between the twos. Could be the beginning. That would be what you would be doing in the A. So it could be eat between the twos, pay attention when eating. Might even be kind to myself. could go in the A line, the things that you do. So what's the result of the thought, I want to be more connected to my body? It causes the feeling of in control. It causes the actions of eating between the twos, paying attention when eating, being kind. The result of that would be you would be more connected to your body. Okay? Vicki, make sense? Let me know what you think. Yes. Okay. So, Vicki, does this make a difference in how you feel now from doing this when you think about eating? Yes or no? What do you think? It does, but it's hard. Okay. So here's the thing. It does, but it's hard. So that means that the thought isn't quite connecting with her. Because what you're saying to me, Vicki, is the model looks good, but I don't know that I can really believe it. Is that what you're saying to me? Yes. Okay. So here's a question for you. Could you believe, would that make you feel more in control? I want to believe that I could be more connected to my body. Does that feel more believable? Yes. Okay. So we could change it to I want to believe that I could be more connected to my body. And that might make you feel in control in terms of just believing it. And it might, you might just be able to start in the A line of paying more attention when you're eating, because maybe the result won't be you're always eating between the twos, but maybe it'll be you're more connected to your body or you're paying more attention. Maybe in the thought line you want to believe that you could pay more attention to your body. That's a possibility. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Definitely. So that's where I would go with this. And everybody's asking me lots and lots of questions right now. So I'm just going to say right now with Vicki, I hope this is a good start for you, because I want you to see that you have to do sometimes many little steps with your thoughts in order to get where you want. Like maybe you would just want to go from being totally out of control to less out of control. And seriously, you can put that in there too. You just want to be able to change the feeling enough that you can feel differently and not feel so much that way. So let's try something else. Let's see, a lot of people have, let's see. Randy asked me, how do we jump from I want to be more connected to in control? You don't jump from it, Randy. It's either you believe the thought, and if the thought makes you, if you really believe the thought, you probably could feel more in control. At least for Randy, she could. The model may not work for you. That may not be what you're going to feel, but it was for her what she wanted to feel. And it worked for her. The model may not work for you. You may have to do something different. Julie asked me, I would want weight loss to be my result. Is this jumping the gun? No. For sure, you could put weight loss in the result, and that absolutely could go in the model that we did. We could put that in the result line for sure. That if you pay attention to your body, if you eat between the twos, not only would the result be that you're more connected to your body, but you would probably have weight loss too. You could absolutely put that in the result. Okay. LaDon says, hi, LaDon. Hi. She says, can you do a model about a joy eat or consuming alcohol, not just what we have to do like eating? I could, if I. Okay. Oh my gosh. We lost each other, but we're all back. Everybody back? Everybody here? It looks like everybody's still here. Okay, so this is what I think I want to do. I want to coach somebody live. So what we'll do is if somebody can raise their hand. Oh, goody. I got a lot of people raising their hand. Hold on. Oh, I got a lot of people raising their hand. All right, let's start with Jeannie. Can you hear me, Jeannie? I can't hear you. Let me unmute you. Jeannie?
Yes.
I hear you.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Okay, why don't you tell me what you've got on your mind? I've got lots of people with their hands up, which is fantastic. Tell me, how can I help you and how can we do the model?
My question always is, how do I go from emotional eating to eating between the twos and just thinking and planning every day, and specifically in the moment?
Okay, so how do you get away from emotional eating?
Yeah, because I swear I'm never hungry. I just emotionally eat. I never think, gosh, am I hungry? It's always, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between. And when I come home from work, I'm eating. So how do I stop and take the time to think, how do I feel emotionally and how hungry am
I? Okay, so why don't you start by answering that question for me?
I?
Because you're acting, I think you're probably, I think you're smarter than you're talking to me.
Right.
So,
but I've used a food so much for emotions that I don't take the time. Example, coming home from work and a little stressed, tired, I'll eat to soothe myself versus thinking, am I really hungry or could I do something else to soothe myself?
So let's look at the circumstance. Let's put the circumstance as coming home from work.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to put our CTFAR, and we can already put in the A line because what we want to know is what you're doing right now. Right? So we call this an unintentional thought, which means this is not what you're intending, right?
Correct.
Right. This is just what your brain is doing automatically without any management.
Right.
This is like the baby up in your head running around with a knife and you're saying to her, just go around, sweetheart. You can use that knife. I hope you don't cause too much blood.
Exactly.
That's all that's happening here right now, right? So we'll put in the A line, overeating. What do you do when you come home from work? What do you eat?
I'll be getting dinner ready and I'll eat crackers or eat what I'm getting ready for dinner, and sometimes eating a dinner before I have dinner.
So, and would you say, are you hungry when you're eating or you're not hungry?
No, really not.
Okay.
Seriously.
So eat,
Right. No, I mean, I have, food for breakfast, healthy lunch, salad, and no, I'm not hungry.
Okay, so overeating, eating crackers, eating when not hungry.
Correct.
Okay, so we know what you're doing. So what we want to know is, how are you feeling when you come home from work? Sometimes that's a lot easier to do than to try to figure out what you're thinking.
Right. I would say be anxious, usually a little tired.
Let's put anxious.
Yeah.
So this is for everybody too. I like to really get into your body about how this emotion feels and how strong it is. So if emotion runs from a -10, anxiety runs from a -10 to a +10, I mean, a -10 to a 0, 0 is neutral, and a -10 is the strongest anxiety that you can feel.
Right. I, I would say a 5 or a 6.
-5 or -6?
Yes.
Okay, let's put it a -6. Because I really think it's important. And do you usually feel it inside, like around your stomach or your chest? Do you know where you feel it?
You know, and I've listened to some of your podcasts on it. Sometimes I think it's like in my chest or in my head.
Okay. So we're just going to put here because I think it's important where you feel it, because a lot of times, especially like when it's in your chest, and sometimes for me, it's like usually in my gut,
Mm-hmm.
which can be a big problem when you're trying to decipher should I eat or not. But for you, it's in your chest and in your head. So what do you think you're thinking when you come home from work and you feel this anxious?
What am I doing?
What
You
are you
know,
thinking?
yes, like we just had our last son went off to college, so it's a little empty nest. And it's my husband, and he travels, and sometimes he's home, sometimes he's not. And I feel like I have to be homemaker. I'm not in that role anymore. It's just my husband and I. There's no reason to be anxious. You know, it's usually getting the kids all set for dinner and whatever. It's like a whole new role, and I almost don't know what to do with it.
Okay, so what do you think you're thinking that's making you feel anxious? So you told me a lot of the things. Are you thinking that I don't know what to do?
I'm thinking I have to make dinner, or I have to make our
Why does that
world.
make you feel anxious?
Um, I would say that I want to make things nice for myself and my husband after work.
Why does that make you feel anxious?
Why?
Hmm.
It shouldn't.
No, but why does it?
I think it's
I mean, do
probably
you
a
not
role.
want to really, and you're just doing it? Or
Wait, say that again.
do you not really want to do that? Are you doing it because you think you should?
I think I should and I want to, but I also want to relax a little bit. There's no,
Okay, so maybe the thought is I wish I could relax, but I have to make dinner.
yes,
I
yes,
wish I could, or I want to I wish I could relax, but I have to make dinner.
right,
Okay, and that causes you to feel anxious.
right,
So you overeat while you're making dinner. So you're cooking dinner. That's in your A line too.
yes,
Cooking dinner, overeating, eating crackers, eating when you're not hungry.
correct.
Right. Okay. And so the result is that are you relaxing?
No,
No. So basically what you're doing, the result is that you're making dinner and you're not relaxing.
correct. I'm like stuffing my feelings, not thinking and relaxing. I'm making dinner, and then I feel the result is I'm not hungry for dinner, but I'll eat dinner anyway.
So even in the R line, you can have making dinner. You make dinner, but you're not relaxing. You're probably going to gain weight.
Yes,
You can put that all in the R line. And
yeah,
probably even in your A line, do you talk to yourself like when you're making dinner and you're eating? Do you tell yourself you shouldn't be doing it, or what the heck are you doing, or how come you're
yes,
not?
yes, yes. Why do I keep going back to doing this?
So you beat yourself up.
Yes, without a doubt. I shouldn't be doing this.
Hmm. And so you see, like in the A line, the effect of all of these things that you're doing. You're overeating, even though you're making dinner, and you're beating yourself up, like you're not having a very good time, right?
No. And then the
So
guilt.
so
Right.
it's very far from relaxing. So
Yes.
you're not going to get it anyway.
Right. Right.
Right. But in your head, you're thinking within the A line, well, this is how I'm going to relax.
Yes. I'm gonna like detach by eating. It's an activity that I'm doing that makes me not think about anything.
But that's not true,
Correct.
because what you're thinking about is how terrible you are.
That's right. Now that you say that, yes.
You're thinking about how terrible you are in your A line, and you're expecting a different result. Like you're hoping, like, well, I'm just going to eat while I'm doing this and give myself some relaxation, like, a little pity party.
Totally, 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 yes.
How's your pity party working?
Horribly.
Horribly. And you know what? You're beating yourself up. You're not getting anything out of this.
That's right.
So let's see if we can do something. So I want you to realize that in your T line, that what if you could relax? Right now you're saying, I can't relax, I have to cook dinner.
Right. It's this bizarre expectation. And my husband's great. He could care less whether we wake
It's not about your husband, sweetheart.
Right.
It's about you
Right.
and who you live with, which is you.
Right.
And the stuff that you say to yourself, which isn't helpful.
Right.
Right. And so, like, what you have to do, and this is what I think. With eating, coming home from work, sorry. Coming home from work. T-F-A-R. I'm calling this a little bit more of a laddering thought. Like sometimes you just can't come to the, I'm just going to take care of myself from here on out. Like, wouldn't that be great?
Right.
Right? Like that would be such a pretty thought, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, but you and I both know that's ridiculous.
Right.
Right. But what if the thought was that when you're coming home from work, the thought is I'm going to be kinder to myself. I want to be kinder to myself.
That would be really nice.
Could you use that thought?
Yes, I could.
I mean, like starting today when you come home
Yes.
from work.
Yes, and periodically I did. I'll go upstairs and change and relax, and I'm much calmer.
Okay, but you can't go upstairs and relax if you keep the thought that I can't relax, I have to make dinner. So even if you keep thinking that and you try to go upstairs and do other things, the thought's going to drive you crazy.
True.
That's why you have to change your thinking. You can't change the A line before you change your thinking.
Okay.
Right? And that's what everybody wants to do. They just tell, every single one of my clients, when we start out, well, just tell me what to do. I'll do it. Or tell me what to think. And I can't even tell you really what to think to begin with because you may or not buy it. But you want to be kind to yourself.
That's a really nice thought. And it seems so simple.
When you're being coached and you can start seeing your own mind, it gets more simple. Because you can't see your mind. You're believing that you have to go home and make dinner or everything's going to fall apart.
Right.
That's like a bunch of BS.
That's for sure.
That you're telling yourself. It's like letting the kid run around with a knife in their hand and saying, I hope you don't get too bloody.
Right.
So I want to be kind to myself creates a totally different feeling. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
How does that make you feel?
Relaxed as I'm sitting here thinking of it and visualizing that. What a simple thought that would calm me down.
So when you feel relaxed, and we're in an intentional model, which means it hasn't happened yet, we're imagining what you might do with this thought and this feeling.
Right, yes.
You might come home. You might make dinner, you might not. But even if you make dinner, maybe you won't just be eating your way to kingdom come because you're so tense. Maybe you just make dinner
without stuffing my face.
Without overeating. So when you say stuffing your face, for everybody that's listening, that's not a very nice thing to say.
No. But that is what I do. It's little things.
You overeat. You overeat. You overeat. When you say stuff your face, how does that make you feel?
Horrible.
Would you say that to somebody that you loved? Are you going to stuff your face again?
No.
Don't talk to yourself like that. That's part of being kind to yourself.
Okay.
Sweetheart, what do you need? How can I help you?
Right. It makes me sad to think that I talk to myself that way.
Well, I would rather you have more compassion than sadness or regret. Because you just didn't know. You just thought it's just you. You can talk to yourself like that. I mean, because it'll help you get with the program better, right?
Right.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now that you
Okay.
know that it doesn't work, you can do something differently.
Right.
You can be kinder. I want to be kind to myself. And the result of being kind to yourself is you may become more connected to body.
Mm-hmm.
Say nice things to self. And, you know, like I think about when you think about the effect of being kinder to yourself and you start doing nicer things for yourself, you just automatically, in the result line, you just start feeling better about yourself.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yes, overall. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to see if I can get somebody else now. Okay, let me see. Let me pick one more person. This time is going so fast. I will be happy to stay on like another 10 or 15 minutes if you want for maybe a couple more people to be coached. I'd be happy to do it. So let's see. Let's ask Kathy. 1 minute, Kathy. I'm going to get you going here. Oh, Kathy, I will not be able to let you talk because you have an older version of Zoom. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick somebody else. Deborah. Okay. Deborah, can you hear me? Deborah? I've unmuted you. Oh. Deborah? Deborah? I've unmuted you, Deborah, but I don't hear you. Are you trying to talk to me? You might have unmuted, or did you touch something? That sometimes happens. Deborah? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. From Kathy to everyone, I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Like you're hearing a lot of noise? Okay. I'm hearing a lot of noise too, but I don't know where it's coming from. Okay, I think it's gone now. Yes, I hear you. Okay, it's gone. Okay, let me try somebody else. LaDon?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hey there.
Hi. I had to bring you on because I know you'll have something excellent to ask me, and I would love to be able to teach it and ask some questions. I know you've got people.
I do. I have a room full of people.
How do I look? I really worked hard on this. Am I looking good?
You look great.
Yay.
And it's good to see you.
Unfortunately, I can't see you, but it's probably good to see me because you've certainly heard this voice for a while.
I've heard this voice a while. Okay, so what I would like to ask has something to do with maybe, like with eating, we have to eat, so that's a circumstance. But with a joy eat or with a planned drink, that's something that we don't have to do, but can we work a model with that?
Well, you don't really have to do anything. So are you just like wanting to put alcohol in the C line?
Yes, let's do that one. Instead of a joy eat, let's do the alcohol.
Okay, so you can make it whatever you want. I mean, we could put a joy eat in the C line too.
Okay.
But let's do alcohol, because I think a lot of people have just as much trouble with alcohol as they do with food, with overeating or overdrinking.
Okay, let's do that.
So let's try that. So let's just put alcohol in the C line. Or we can put a circumstance in the C line too.
Okay, let's do that. Let's say going to a wedding reception and there's going to be alcohol.
Great. Going to.
Yeah, we just had that.
Okay, so I know you've got other people there, so a lot of people will be getting this, but I know for everybody that's listening to this, this is probably one of the circumstances that people have problems with, that they think that's their problem, is they're going to a wedding reception with alcohol. So we're going to do our TFAR model. And what I want to know is what are you wanting to do with alcohol? Because I think that's really important, that we know what you want to be doing in the A line, like we could do it like that. Or are you wanting to feel like more, what do you want to do with alcohol?
Okay, I want to have alcohol, but I want to wake up the next morning knowing that I didn't have too much.
Okay, so you don't want to overdrink.
I don't want to overdrink.
Okay, and so maybe what you want to do is you want to think something, because in your A line is you want to drink and enjoy every sip, but not overdrink.
That's right.
So we could put in the A line that that's what you want to happen.
Yes.
We could put it in the A line and see what you'd have to think and feel in order to get there.
Okay.
So just for everybody else, when we talk about a joy eat or a joy drink in my program, that just means that, one, it's planned. You've decided ahead of time to do it. And two, that you're going to enjoy every sip or every bite, and you're going to stop the minute that you're done. And especially with alcohol, like what I have found is that for a lot of times, alcohol is not so much enjoying every taste. It's enjoying getting the feeling that you're looking for and stopping the minute you get it. I think is just as important as anything else. Would you agree with that?
I will. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to a wedding reception with alcohol. How do you want to feel?
I want to feel empowered.
Okay. So for everybody, this is more of an intentional model is what we're creating here right now, right? And so like, I want everybody to know that we don't have an unintentional model at this point, but we're going to assume that where people are coming from unintentionally is they're doing things they don't want to be doing. They're either drinking more than they said they're going to drink, they're over drinking and they're not paying attention, and they have all kinds of thoughts that are creating that action. So let's say we're coming from there. Okay, so what would you like to think in order to feel empowered when you go to a wedding reception with alcohol? How would you like to think in order to feel empowered?
I want to think that I have planned for the 2 drinks that I'm going to have. And I want to think that that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to enjoy my guest or the people that I'm with. I'm not going to make it all about alcohol. I'm not going to put drama around alcohol.
So I'm going to put in the circumstance also that you have planned 2 drinks.
Yes.
That's a fact also.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And you want to feel empowered. So it's really important when you're doing your C line that you can put as many facts in there as you know. So for you, you already know that you want to plan 2 drinks.
Yes.
And you want to feel empowered.
Yes.
Okay. Do you need help from me, or can you do this by yourself?
Well, in order for me to feel empowered.
Yep.
And I'm going to this reception where there's alcohol, lots of wine, lots of liquor, lots of things to choose from. But I've already decided that I'm going to have 2 drinks.
Uh-huh.
So my thoughts are going to be that I'm going to enjoy what I have. I'm going to think about what I want before I go, since there's a lot to choose from. And I'm going to sip and not just guzzle it down. And I'm going to think about it and not get lost in the moment of just the partying. I'm going to enjoy the people and not just the alcohol. More emphasis is going to be put on the people. So
Okay.
my thought, yeah. But I might need you to help me with that.
Yeah, I would say that so what you just did for everybody that's listening is she gave me a lot of thoughts. So we can't put all of those thoughts in the T line. We want to try and sum up what you're trying to say. And this is an offering that I would think maybe you might like is maybe either one, I want to honor my own commitments to myself and pay more attention to my friends.
Yeah, and that's the big one. Honor my own commitment, and I have self-respect in doing that. There's dignity in that.
Okay. Do you like that thought then?
I do. I like that thought.
100% you believe it?
Yes. Because I know when I wake the next morning, then that's the thought that I will still want to have, and that's going to have taken me through the night before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So just for everybody that's listening, you've got to believe the thought. If you're going to come up with an intentional thought, you have to 100% believe it, or it's not going to change. It's not going to create the feeling. You've got to know if it's creating the feeling or not. So when you think I want to honor my own commitments and have respect for myself, does that make you feel empowered?
Yes.
And you know what? I could even add to this thought, which could be helpful for other people too, is I want to honor my own commitments to myself just for tonight.
That's good.
You know, because a lot of people get all like when we talk about not eating certain foods or doing something, and even when somebody was talking about eating between the twos, I think a really great thing to add to the thought is you could just add it for that one meal or that one night. Like, don't scare your brain. Like, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, so you better get used to it.
That's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's overwhelming.
Right. Well, that's how we all go. It's like, sometimes when we're talking about doing something new, our brain just immediately goes, are you crazy? Right. That it knocks it out. And so like when I asked you if you 100% believed it, I just didn't hear. I think like it was 90%.
Well, you kind of know me, so
yeah,
90%.
So I think I want to honor my own commitments just for tonight. And that makes you feel empowered. A, you stick to your drink plan.
Mm-hmm.
What's the result?
The result is that I do honor my own body. And the result is that I feel good the next morning.
I honor my own commitments and feel great the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who are concerned about weight loss, you can put that in the R line, because if you're following your plans and your protocols and you feel empowered when you're around food or parties, the result is always going to be, you can put weight loss in it if you're doing the A that's going to create it. That makes sense too, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, LaDon. Did that help?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer. So those of you who would like to stay, and I'll ask another person, answer another question. See, we have Julie. Okay, Jeannie. I mean, not Jeannie, sorry. Julie?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Awesome. I wasn't sure I'd get this to work right.
Yeah, you're talking a little muted, but let me see if I can hear you. You're making a lot of noise too.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
All right.
You gotta not crackle a lot of paper and stuff like that. But right now you sound great. So tell me how I can help you.
I had posted this in the chat. I'm not sure how to get it into the model, but one of my bigger struggles is the thought that I am stressed and overwhelmed and deserve to reward myself with sweet treats.
Beautiful. Okay, you're going to do it with me. Everybody's going to do it with me because you gave me a nice, distinct model with everything you just told me. You gave me your thoughts, you gave me your feelings, you gave me your actions.
Just not the circumstance.
So let's come up with a circumstance.
Okay. Work is very busy.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I just have many pressing obligations that I can't get done in the amount of time that I have.
I can't do everything in the amount of time that I have. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll say work. Okay, we'll put that as a circumstance.
Okay.
Okay. Probably can put, you can put a lot of different C's in there for you is my guess. But, the thing that you came on with me the most is the feeling that you have.
Yes.
Right? Be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling of overwhelm goes in the F line, right? Overwhelm is a feeling. So if you're going to fill out a model, you put your overwhelm in there first because you know what you're feeling.
Okay.
Right? And you can take a circumstance like work and then you say, well, what makes me feel overwhelmed at work? Because here's the thing about the model, and for all of you that are listening, that's very, very important. You're making noise again. Sorry.
Sorry.
The thing about the model is that the feelings never come from the circumstance. Most of us think that the way we feel is because of the circumstance. And that's what's so frustrating because we can't change it. A circumstance is not really changeable. It's just what it is. It's just like if it's raining outside, you can't change it. If you're going to work, you're going to work. If you're at work, you're at work. Work is just a fact. You can go to court and you can say, hey, this is my work. You can't go to court and go, because of my work, I feel overwhelmed. So the reason that you feel overwhelmed is because you have a thought that you believe that I can't do everything in the amount of time that I have. That's a thought. Of all the thoughts that you could choose to think, this is what you're choosing to think, and this is why you feel so overwhelmed. It has nothing to do with work. Do you see that right this minute?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So in the A line, when you think this thought, and let's say you're coming home from work, how about that for the C line?
Okay.
Seems to be a very common thing. Coming home from work, that's a C. You have a thought that I can't do everything in the amount of time that I have, and you're coming home from work and you feel overwhelmed. What do you do when you come home?
Well, unfortunately, before I've even come home in the afternoon at work, because that's it, overeat. I'm running around the office looking for cookies or candy or, some kind of sugar.
Looking for cookies and candy. Let's just keep you at work.
Okay, yeah. Yes, that's where I'm feeling it.
Let's just keep you right at work because the work for you, the work that needs to be done at work is on this.
Mm-hmm.
Your work isn't the problem. This is really good news for you.
It's what I think about the work.
It's what you think about the work, because your feeling of overwhelm has nothing to do with work. If you, I mean, I know you don't, but can you imagine if you believed that you didn't have to get everything done all at once? I mean, I know you don't, but can you imagine if you thought that?
That would be
Amazing.
That would be amazing.
Exactly. That's all I want to show you, is that work has nothing to do with it. It's just your thought is making you feel terrible. And that when you feel overwhelmed, you overeat, you look for cookies and candy. And then, of course, the result is you're busy eating instead of doing your work.
And ultimately gaining weight.
And not getting everything done. You see that?
Yeah, so I can see where the result leads right back to the T.
Every single time. So this is what I want you to think about right now, for lack of time, but something for you is that I just want you to know that as long as you believe this thought, you're going to feel overwhelmed.
Okay.
And if you took work out of it, my guess is it would just go someplace else.
Mm.
Because you have a belief that you have to do everything all at once. And nothing gets done all at once, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you get things done, it's not because you do them all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You do
That's
one thing at a
true.
time.
That's true.
So you could go a couple different ways with this. Is one, you could go to the T line and just go, I could stop believing that I can't do everything in the amount of time.
Okay.
Or I just think I can't do everything in the amount of time that I have. I just think it. So you're giving your power back to your mind and not to the circumstance.
Okay. When I look back historically, I always get everything done. Do you know what I mean? It's just
I
like
know
I'm
what you mean.
worried I might not.
I think what you do is you like to scare the hell out of yourself to get your work done.
Mm. Mm.
You like that? It's fun? You having fun?
No.
Scaring the hell out of yourself?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to just get myself worked up for no reason.
In your little brain, somehow it's making a lot of sense because you're recreating it over and over and over again. And it's just like a super highway in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You're making a lot of noise again.
Sorry.
So you got to stop it.
Okay.
And the way you stop it is by realizing that if I change my thinking, I could feel different. Work can stay the same. And that's really good because it probably is going to.
Okay, that makes good sense.
Yes, I hope
Thank
that
you.
helped. Thank you.
It does.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, let's see. That was Julie. I'm going to mute her. Okay, I'm going to do one more. If you guys are willing to stay on, I'm more than willing to do like maybe another 10 minutes. So let's do, Teresa's been here for a while. Teresa?
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you for choosing me.
My pleasure.
I would like to have some strategies or help with how to deal with social situations where there's like a buffet of food. Things like when we have company over for dinner and it's a potluck and they bring all kinds of stuff, or going out and it's go to a whatever, someplace where I don't have my normal routine, and I just find it super tempting to indulge on all the things that I normally don't have around me.
Okay. So are you saying to me that if you're making noise, so you got to be really careful with the noise?
Okay.
Okay. One of the things I think is really important for you to think about is that what does it matter if the food's around you or not? What do you mean that's normally around or normally not around? Why is that a problem?
Well,
what's the big deal if it's sitting in front of you or not?
If there's food that's in front of me that I normally don't have around me, then I'm going to want to eat it.
Then what?
Then I'm going to want to eat it.
Okay. Well, that's a horrible thought. Do you realize the thought you have? If there's food around me that I normally don't eat, I'm going to eat it. Now, I want to tell you something, and I want everybody to listen to this. You think that you're telling me a fact about you, but you're telling me something that you think about you. You see that?
I hear what you're saying.
Uh-huh. What?
I don't know if I just don't. I'm just thinking about it.
You're thinking about what I just wrote?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, what are you thinking?
I don't like the fact that I don't have good self-control.
Right.
In situations that I'm not in control of, or that I feel like I'm not in control of.
Well, here's the deal. Let's just put in the C line social situations.
Okay. Like I have a birthday party this Saturday.
And let's just put social situations that involve food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But I want you to see that you believe that if there's a food around that I normally don't eat, I'm going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have that thought.
So are you saying that if I just believe that I can be in a social situation and not eat food, that just by thinking that thought?
Well, if you could believe that thought, yes, but you don't. That's why you can't. That's why you're not getting it, and that's fine. I just want you to see that it's just a thought. Do you see that it's a thought?
Yes.
Okay, that's really the first step, is to see that it's a thought. That it's not really you per se, and it has nothing to do with social situations with food. It just has to do with what you think about it. And you believe that if there's food, like you think that you're not in control when you're in social situations. Right? Because you're not controlling the food.
Correct.
But here's what, you're always in control of yourself. Regardless of what's in front of you, you still get to control yourself.
It's true.
You
The food
never get to control the C. The C is out of your control, always.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's ever in your control, the model shows you perfectly, is this. And you're not controlling it.
Mm-hmm.
So for starters, for a lot of people, it's really hard to see that. and believe it because you've been believing it for so long about yourself.
I agree.
And like a perfect example for me, if you ever heard my podcast, is I had a thing about potato chips. So I believed that as long as I didn't keep potato chips in my house, I was fine. I didn't need them because they weren't there. But if I were around them, then I had to eat them. All of them. Like I couldn't stop eating them. I really believed it. And of course, because I believed it, I continued to create a result of eating all the potato chips. But it was just a thought I had. And what I want for you and for everybody that's listening is to realize that food has zero power over you. It's what you make it mean. You're making it mean that if it's not something you're used to, you're going to lose control. And what I'm saying to you is the control is within you to begin with. It's not in the food. You didn't hang up on me, did you?
Nope, I was taking notes.
You'll be able to see the video, and there'll be a workbook
great.
that'll come with it.
Oh,
And you'll
awesome.
be able to really work this.
Thank
So
you.
you'll be able to watch this video, and then you can start creating some models for yourself. But I just want you to see that you're creating this out of control feeling. And you overeat foods that you normally don't eat.
Correct.
And the result is you prove to yourself that you have to eat it. Have to eat foods I normally, it's like kind of like they just keep all showing up in each one of the components. But for you, this is just a negative, we call it a negative spin cycle, and you'll see it in the workbook, a negative spin cycle. You keep thinking it, and you keep creating it, and you keep thinking it, and you keep creating it. You have lots of evidence to show you that this is true. So it's like, how do you break the cycle?
Yes.
And the way you break the cycle is first realizing that there's other things you could choose to think. This is not your only option. Can you get that a little bit?
Yeah.
A little?
So I'm thinking about I'm going to my brother's house he's going to make dinner for me this Saturday. It's my birthday, and I have no idea what he's going to make, but I know it's going to be fabulous. So maybe thinking to myself, I can
How old are you going to be?
56.
My favorite age. All right. I want you to think about this because I have a lot of things with clients and birthdays. I do a lot of mini sessions with people with birthdays, and I do have a lot of clients that have birthdays. And I want to tell you that you know what happens on birthdays for most of these people when they're unaware? They do everything in the A line they don't want to be doing.
Right. That's my fear.
Well,
I just have a fear it's just going to be one big binge eat.
Well, sweetheart, that's a thought. It's going to be one big binge eat. You realize that's a thought.
Yeah.
So you have this whole tray of thoughts somebody has come up to you with. There's a bunch of negative thoughts and there's a bunch of positive thoughts. And you know what you just said? I'm going to take the one that makes me feel the worst, please. May I have that? It's going to be one big binge eat. I'll take that one. And it makes you feel powerless. Or, well, this is powerless. And the A is totally overeat, right? And it's one big binge eat.
And I just, already feel regret and disappointment and sadness and,
well,
just the thought of that.
Right. So maybe you don't want to think that. for your birthday. Maybe a birthday gift for you, maybe a great birthday gift would be to say, I am going to start managing my thinking in my 56th year of life.
Yes.
No more that I'm just going to let thoughts just come into my head and I'm just going to take anyone that comes. I'm not going to do that anymore. Starting now, for my 56th year, I'm going to start managing my mind and managing my results. You cannot manage your C's. You're going to have a birthday every year. Sorry, it's the way it works. You can't change it. You have total power over what you want to think about your birthday. And I think that of all the things that you could think about your birthday, you're picking damaging ones, and I would start thinking of uplifting thoughts that might make you feel very, very different for your birthday, for your birthday. Okay?
Yes.
All right, I want you to think about that. We could keep working and working and working, right? Because this is when I'm working with clients, this is how it comes up. One thing leads to another, exactly the way it's supposed to.
So I'm just trying to think of what is a substituting thought that I can have.
Right. So everybody asks me, please tell me what to think. And I'm telling you, you have got to see that you're choosing the thoughts that you're thinking. You have to start with awareness first.
Okay.
You have to be aware you're thinking this. It's a huge step. It's will change everything. But of course, it's like everybody says, well, all right, this thought's not working. Give me a great thought.
I can enjoy all foods and alcohol in moderation.
How about I'm just going to start learning how to manage my thinking on my birthday?
Okay. Okay.
I mean, we could go all over. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have a lot of ideas, but I just want you to think about it for time purposes. I'm going to stop here, but you're going to have a workbook where you really can start working this.
Okay.
Right. And of course, you know, this is just a short period of time.
Sure.
Right. We just opened up your little brain a little bit, and I gave you a glimpse as to what's going on in there.
Yes.
And we gave everybody else a glimpse, because believe me, what you've got going on in your model, you got another 100 people that are exactly the same. Exactly. Because I've coached them. I've heard it. You know, maybe it's time to start celebrating in a birthday that is honoring and respecting yourself. Might be a nice time to do that. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you for your coming to my party. Okay. What was your name again?
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa. Okay. I'm going to mute you now. Okay, guys, I'm sorry I went over, but I really wanted you to be able to see the model, and I know you've got a much better idea about it. I'm sending all of you a workbook that has a lot of this information in it. It's got a list of feelings. It's got a place to put intentional and unintentional thoughts. And what I want you to know is that the circumstances in your life are what they are. You can't change them. The power is in your mind. And your mind is under you. You get to decide, nobody else. If you don't like the results that you're getting in your life, then you want to change your thinking. Your circumstance can stay exactly as it is, because it will. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And I just loved every minute of it. I'm going to do this again. This was so much fun. And Kathy is chatting to me. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, so you guys have a fantastic day. Watch your mind. Watch it like a hawk. Start doing what we call thought downloads, where you start writing down your thoughts every morning and see what the heck is going on up there and start taking responsibility for it. Thank you, guys. Bye.